unapologetic, unadulterated, and uncompromising. Greetings, brothers and sisters from around the world, and welcome back to the home, the haven, the stronghold, and the super fortress of intelligent black thought. This is the BlackChannel.net radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And we are glad to commune with the brothers and sisters again. Tonight's broadcast will be brief, just a few points we want to hit on really, and then we have to get back to the work at hand. As you've all been able to see, we have been extremely busy because intelligence never sleeps. And we're glad to have you all with us here today here at the Black Channel. Now, for those of you who are not aware, we'll give you a fuller update probably tomorrow night, time withstanding. Time allowing, we will do that. There's so much that is going on, so much that we have to do, so much that we've been taking care of behind the scenes. Let me make this very, very clear to you all right now. It never was, is not now, and never will be my intention to operate at a lower level. We are here to do this as a wake-up call to put the world on notice. So, my plan, our strategy, is actually rather simple. We are going to hit on all fronts. We're going to hit everywhere. We're going to drive everywhere. So, for those of you who saw the listing today, as you can clearly see, we will be represented in the top 10 media markets in America. We will be represented there. It will be available to you in those top 10 markets. Our goal is in the areas in America where black people are most densely concentrated, where it makes financial feasible sense for us to operate. I know a couple of folk were like, you bringing 7 a.m. to Hackensack, New Jersey? Probably not. Are you bringing it to Wichita, Kansas? Probably not. I live in St. Paul, Minnesota, Tennessee. Probably not. Memphis, but probably not St. Paul, Tennessee. I live in St. Paul, Arizona. Probably not for you either. Trust me, if we had the ability to do like James Cameron, Michael Moore, Tyler Perry, and be in 1,500 theaters, hey, don't you know we'd be doing it? Don't you know we'd be doing it? But given the resources that we have, I think you will be sufficiently impressed by it. I also think you'll be happy with the facilities as well. As a matter of fact, I think a lot of you will be pleasantly pleased and pleasantly surprised by the facilities that we are making your accommodations at. I think you'll be very happy with those. As a matter of fact, here in probably the next 48 hours, because last week we let you all know what the release dates were going to be last weekend. This weekend, we're going to be letting you know the exact locations. We've got enough of them that I feel we can start stating the locations. And once we let you know where the locations are, next up will be the tickets for them. There's a bit of coordination that has to go on for all of these. Because of the way in which we bought them, we didn't go small. We went big. A lot of you are going to be looking at it and be like, wow, did you really get this much? Yes, we really did. Yes, we really did. Because we want this to be a situation, we wanted to set an example of how it's supposed to be done. Now, that doesn't mean everything's going to be perfect. Nothing is. But as far as effort and execution, I think that everyone who's been involved with this and everyone who's seen it, I think that you're going to be proud of what you're going to see. I think you're going to be proud of it. So you'll be able to bring people with you. Your family, your friends, a couple of enemies. Bring some white supremacists. Sit them down and if you got some white supremacist friends, you can bring them. You see, the title doesn't give anything away. 7 a.m. You got a couple of white supremacist friends, bring them along. Bring them along. Sit them down and let them watch and understand they're not going to make it through chapter 1. They're not going to make it through the first chapter of 7 a.m. before they start twitching and squirming in their seats. And there's nothing really overtly racial about it. There's not anything that will be. They are going to be disturbed hearing black people as a group talking about empowerment, economic empowerment, financial progress at a high level. That is going to be very, very disturbing to them. And you're going to be there, what's wrong with it? I don't know, it just sounds all black and stuff, but they haven't even used the word black. Yeah, but I mean, it's a bunch of black folk on the screen. You don't think black people should talk about economics? Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, that's fine and all, but, it's just... what's the point of it, though, is what I want to know. What's the point? In other words, they hear you talking about power, and he's going to want to know, okay, you keep talking about economics, money, power, economics. You keep talking about that. Where are you going with this? Where are you going? Now that he hears you all aren't talking about coonery and buffoonery, he now wants to know, where is this talk of economic empowerment going? That'll be his next question to you. So, what's the point of all this? He's asking what seems to be a vague question, but it is because he wants to know, so have you all woken up? Because if you have, the game is about to change again. And a lot of you don't understand that. If you are monitoring the news, CNN has reported that Darren Wilson, the killer cop in Ferguson, Missouri, the lethal lawman who gunned down Michael Brown, they are reporting that Darren Wilson, they have sources that say that Darren Wilson is in talks to resign. I'm skeptical about that. I'm very skeptical about that story. I'm very skeptical about it. Because I would be thinking it'd be in their favor to say, oh, he's going to resign, and then the grand jury say, we're not going to indict, and he's like, see, the national media thought white supremacy was going to go down. Negroes were already ready to dance and celebrate. So I'm looking more in that direction. You see, you have to understand this system is set up so that it has layers of protection. You see, in black society, we don't build anything. And because we don't build anything, we don't engineer anything. And when you don't engineer something, you can't build contingencies into what you've built. But in these white supremacist enclaves within the American societal structure, what they do is they make sure that it's engineered like a building, and it's got fail-safes. And then it's got fail-safes on top of fail-safes. They have layers of protection. Not just one. They have layers of protection. Give you all a basic example of a layer of protection on your car. Did you all know that your car door has 2 locks on it? Most of you don't know that. Your car door actually has 2 locks on the door. You probably noticed the first lock when you close your door. But you notice how sometimes you don't close the car door all the way? And it's looser? It doesn't fly open. You still can't push the door open, but the door is not completely closed. You say it's not completely closed. In reality, it is not on the primary lock. It's now caught on the secondary lock. Your car is built with layers of protection. At least where the door is concerned. Now, in other areas, airbags recently, you found out you're on your own. I think that's with Takana. You're kind of on your own with everything else. But with the doors, you got layers of protection. And that is how you are supposed to build your societal structures. Your societal structures are supposed to possess layers of protection. But black people do not do that. And we are trying to take on and assault a system that was built and engineered with layers of protection in mind. Layers of protection baked into the cake. That you go after the cop and he's protected by the police department. You go after the police department and they're protected by the district attorney's office. You go after the district attorney and you got the state behind him. In warfare, when the military does strikes on places, what they will do is they will coordinate for simultaneous attacks. They coordinate that when they strike, they hit everywhere they need to simultaneously. And that's for a reason. Even though the lay of the land or the environment or the climate may not be most hospitable for a simultaneous attack, it is imperative that you strike at the same time for one critical reason. Once the shooting starts, people are going to start making calls for backup. They're going to start alerting other people that something is wrong. And ideally what you want is a situation where the people who you're attacking cannot call other people for help. They can't alert other people that there's a problem because you've hit them, and the people that they would call to let them know, hey, these guys are attacking us, you've hit them too. So you've hit all of your objectives simultaneously. Nobody is able to call out for help because you hit them at the same time. And as black people, that's the strategy that we have to adopt. We are going to have to hit all of these pillars that are holding up all these redundancies. We're going to have to hit all of them. But you can't hit anything if your economics are not in order. And ours are not in order. Let me tell you about the liability of not having your economics in order and organized. You have to be not just orderly, but organized. Orderly and organized. And as black people, we have been neither. And let me tell you some of the consequences of that. When you see black males being assassinated, when you see the assassination of black males, and all we can do is sit back and say, hey, they're not treating the white guys that way. Brothers and sisters, it's the 21st century. We have to stop that. Is there anybody who does not know that we live in a racist environment? Is there anybody who still doesn't know that? If you are sitting next to someone who does not know it or does not accept it, get the hell up and walk away. Don't waste one more second sitting next to that person. Get up, walk away. And don't walk away slowly either. Walk away quickly. Get up and walk away quickly. As black people, what we tend to do is we watch that these are problems, and then we try to absorb our problems. We try to rationalize away that they're actually there, when you should be spending that time building, when you should be spending that time organizing with other people. Because that's what leaves you helpless to police. That's what leaves you helpless to prosecutors. That's what leaves you helpless to state legislators. There is a reason. If you all didn't see, they have filed suit in North Carolina, I believe it is. I want to say they filed suit in North Carolina that they have there is a white group that has filed suit in North Carolina asking that they overturn the state's affirmative action policies at the state schools. This is a white legal foundation that has Asians that have teamed up with them for the purposes of having the affirmative action law in that state overturned. You see, you have entered a time in history. I want to tell you right now, you have entered a time in history where it is official now. It's official. It is now official that the Asians have passed you. Because it is Asians in this lawsuit who are arguing that the state's affirmative action policy should be deemed unconstitutional. They are saying that it discriminates against Asians. For decades now, we have seen worthless and shiftless black males whose only real desire in this world is sex because they are unaccomplished at anything else in life. And they have tried to lie to all of us and deceive all of us because they haven't accomplished anything. They've tried to lie to all of us and tell all of us that we were going to build a black and brown or black and yellow coalition. That they're all black people and they all understand that they're black people like us. You've all heard that for decades now. You have had weak and cowardly individuals. These are sniveling, whining, whimpering cowards who are telling you that lie. Now, the reality is these black males, it was black males spearheading this. These black males, they didn't really want anything except the opportunity of sexual conquest with a non-black female. These were the guys that you were letting lead you. They didn't actually believe that there was no problem. They just understood that, well, if I start talking the way that Malcolm X does and that Jason Black does, then I've just opened the door to not getting some non-black sex, and that's not really on my agenda. I've lived my whole life with an inferiority complex, and if I can bed a non-black female, because you see, I don't own anything, and I'm not building anything, and I don't control anything, and I'm not passing anything down, so all I have are my genitals. So my entire self-worth is wrapped up in my genitals. So if I can't bed a non-black female, then my life has no value. Yeah, I know all these other people say that if they don't own something, control something, and pass something down, that their lives don't have value. But you see, I'm the lowest form of scum. So in my world, sex is all I got. Sex is all I got. And if you take that away from me, I don't have anything. I don't have anything. So those guys who spent the last 4 decades telling the rest of us a lie that they knew was a lie the whole time. They knew that there was no black, brown, black, Asian coalition. They knew this. They knew it the whole time. But you see, when you said you wanted a black and Asian coalition, what you meant was that you wanted socioeconomic power. And when Clarence Thomas said that he wanted a black and Asian coalition, when O.J. Simpson said he wanted a black and Asian coalition, when Bill Cosby said that he wanted a black and Asian coalition, what he was referring to was, well, he just wanted the opportunity to have sex with non-black women. That was the only coalition he wanted to engage in. You're talking about having the black and Asian coalition on Wall Street. He's talking about having the black and Asian coalition in a cheap room at the Motel 6. That's the coalition he wanted. That's what he was going for. We have had a horrible cultural practice of allowing the most duplicitous, deceptive, deceitful individuals among us to be the people who set our agenda and lead us. Individuals who don't give a damn about the community. They're just looking at themselves and trying to have as much fun as they can for themselves. And where does that leave you? That leaves you destitute. That leaves you helpless. And that's exactly what they were looking for, because this is not about the community, not in their eyes, not where they're looking at. This has never been about the community. This has always been about them. Always. One of the hazards of not building anything is that you start saying garbage like we're going to build a black / fill in the blank coalition. You don't hear any Asians anywhere. Asians are not talking about building a black Asian coalition. Did you notice that? Did you notice that Asians are not talking about building an Asian brown coalition? Did you notice that they're not talking about that either? Asians are not talking about building a white Asian coalition. Did you realize that too? Nobody is talking about building a racial or ethnic coalition except the weakest people in the room. And those weak people have become so weak that they have now created a delusion, a make-believe fantasy that there is in fact a black / fill in whatever you want to coalition, when in reality there is not. There is no coalition that black people have anywhere with anybody on anything. And the reason for that is because they don't benefit from having a coalition with us. Because we want to graft off of their power. That's why we want a coalition. And they understand that black folk are accustomed to bull-jiving themselves in the world. So in reality, we're talking like we want a coalition with them. We're talking like it. But that's not actually what we want. You see, we say that we want a, quote, coalition. In reality, what we really mean is we want protection. We actually want protection. We don't want a black Asian coalition. We want an Asian protection for blacks coalition. That's the coalition we're trying to build. A coalition where somebody who does have their socioeconomic act together acts as our protector. When the schoolyard bully shows up for us, that since we can't get white society to integrate us anymore, white society is done trying to integrate us. Instead, what we're looking for now is for somebody who is going to do the work of playing protector for us. We want somebody who is going to step in and save us from the consequences of not doing anything for ourselves. That's what we're really looking for. We really want someone who's going to save us from the consequences of our refusal to build or engineer power for ourselves. We don't want Asians to have a coalition with us. We want Asians to protect us like they're our parents, like they're our teachers. And that is why you hear black folk talking about they want an Asian coalition. Let me ask you something. Go find your nearest integrationalist, Negro bed wench, happy hotep, dusty Negro dancer jig Sambo. You know, the people who keep telling us about how we need to build spiritual wealth. And then ask them, tell me, how do we build this black and Asian coalition with your spiritual strategy? Tell us how that works. Tell us how that happens. Now they're going to try to give you some mumbo jumbo about, well, you need to become Buddhist or Christian. Already you're divided. You don't even have the same religion as the people that you claim you would have a happy, slappy Sambo coalition with. So black people spend our lives looking for protection inside of somebody else's system because we don't have a system to provide protection for ourselves, because you see, we have not been building a system or a network. Black people under white supremacist rule have been doing only two things. There's only two things that we have been doing as black people in this white structure. We have been trying to dance a jig to get as many favors as we possibly can to hopefully carve out a niche for ourselves in their system, or we have been trying to appear as non-threatening as humanly possible in the hopes that they will simply overlook us. That is what we have spent the last 5 centuries doing. Trying to figure out how we can carve out a niche in their system. Either as their servant or as their footstool. That's what we've been doing. That is what we have concentrated our energies toward. Trying to figure out how we can make a place or be ignored. How's that working out for you so far? How's that going? There's been a lot of talk lately about Bill Cosby. He's been accused of rape now. I think it's 4 women. I think another one just came out today. It's like you get up every morning, brand new, ugly, old, wore-out heifer. Not a black woman in the bunch, by the way. Jumping up and accusing him of raping them back in the disco era. I don't know if the allegations are true. I don't know if the allegations are false. This many people jumping up this many decades later, that should be your first sign that something here is way, way wrong and probably unreputable. I'll say it. Probably disreputable reports. I don't know if they're true. I don't know if they're false. But I'll tell you one thing. I'm not surprised. And Bill shouldn't be surprised either. Let me dispel you all of a few myths here, okay? Let me dispel you of a few myths. Guys like Bill Cosby, guys like Richard Pryor. I'm not attacking nobody. I'm telling you the truth. Guys like Berry Gordy. Oh yeah, that's right. The sacred cows are getting turned into ground chuck tonight. That's right. Guys like Michael Jackson. Can we say that? Okay. Well, I don't know if I can, but I'm saying it. I'm saying it. You see, those guys spent their lives building a niche for themselves. Some things they did well, other things they did not. But on the whole, they did not try to build a black coalition. All those guys I just named, we can find plenty of non-black women. We can find plenty of non-black men circling around them. What you cannot find is any of them even once sitting down to build a durable, ongoing structure with black people. You did not see that. All this talk about a black-brown coalition, black-Asian coalition. Black people want to build a coalition with everybody on earth. We're open to building a coalition with everyone else walking except other black people. Black people do not want to make a priority of building a black and black coalition. And the reason for that is because we're not actually trying to have a coalition with people. We're trying to have sexual access. We are not actually trying to build a socio-economic coalition, which is what a coalition's purpose is supposed to be for. We just want to negotiate sexual access and call that a coalition. And guess what? Everybody that we're trying to con into that particular little scheme, they know what we're trying to do, and they're not falling for it. Everybody knows what we want. Everybody can see us coming. And nobody is fooled. Nobody. Bill Cosby, I don't know if he's guilty of everything, but I will tell you all that there is enough smoke that I don't think we can rule out a fire somewhere. And by his behavior in the last decade, his behavior of the last decade is indicative of something. And I tell you that it is consistent with the allegations that we've seen. Remember, I think it was Autumn Jackson. Every time Bill Cosby has been accused of something, it is consistently a non-black female. Bill Cosby comes out speaking against black people. You can't find anything from the last 20, 25 years. Back in the 70s when he was trying to get access to the white corporate structure. Oh, he could talk about black issues then. You've all seen that documentary that he was narrating. If you haven't, you need to go look it up. You can go look it up for yourselves. See, when he wanted access, he wanted the aggregated power and influence of his people. After he got that, you then saw him go where he really wanted to go. And where he really wanted to go, I tell you that at least some of these things we've seen. I had his baby What these women were really saying was, I've seen your man naked. Are they all true? I doubt it. Are they all false? Is the real question. Bill Cosby skated from the 70s with the talking picture book, I think it used to be called. That was where Bill Cosby started. And then I Spy. And then his stand-up routines. And then finally, he was able to get NBC to give him the type of television series that he wanted. And that was when he really turned traitor. Jason Black, did you really just say that? Yes, I did. That was when he really turned against us. Jason Black, why do you say that? Because many of you are liars. Most of you are liars. You tell lies, and you repeat the lies that these people have been saying. You repeat them and you regurgitate them. Even though even you know that these are lies, you keep saying these things as if they're true and they're not. Bill Cosby did not build up a stable of young black men under him. If you came to work for the Cosby Show, you were coming to work at the Cosby Show for one reason: to increase Bill Cosby's power, wealth, and influence. But he was not interested in helping to build you into an independent structure of your own. He made sure he did not do that. And that is why the Cosby Show only built one star: Bill Cosby. Keep that sentence in mind that I just said to you, that the Cosby Show only built one star. Whole bunch of black folk went through that show. Only one, the guy who came in famous, was the only guy who left famous. With anything that he could use, he was the only one. Keep that in mind. Go ahead, you can go down the list. Show me what Felicia Rashad did after the Cosby Show. Show me that. Show me Malcolm Jamal Warner's hit series and work after the Cosby Show. Yeah, I know, Malcolm and Eddie. Go ahead, try it. Tell me how much wealth Malcolm Jamal Warner is making from Malcolm and Eddie. Hell, can you even find that show in reruns today? Go ahead, try it. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait for you, since you like lying to yourself so much. I'll wait for you to try to substantiate that one. Go ahead and show me. We're sitting up here with the Cosby kids. Was it Rudy, I think it was, who went to school to be a damn veterinarian? You got folk on that show, they left the show and had to go back to school. Child actors that Bill Cosby did not help to get a damn thing because he knew that helping them wasn't going to do nothing for him. So he said, Raven Simone, the little girl who played Rudy, actually all of the children on that show, all of them. He did nothing for them. Nothing. Nothing at all. And people keep trying to make up this lie that Bill Cosby did something for them. You can't. Malcolm Jamal Warner did not get Malcolm and Eddie because of Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby didn't make a phone call. Bill Cosby didn't hook up Malcolm with anybody. Malcolm Jamal Warner got that show because of Malcolm Jamal Warner. Bill Cosby had nothing to do with it. And he never tried to help Malcolm get anything either. Just like he didn't try to help Felicia. Just like he didn't try to help Lisa Bonet. Oh, I'm going to come back to that because you think you're going to lie and hide behind a different world. You got something different coming. It's called a different thought. Go ahead. Go ahead and say a different world. You're talking about something you're scrambling to remember. I was there. You talking about something you went to go look up on Wikipedia. I was there before Bill Cosby got his show. I was one of the children of Talking Picture Book. I was there before then. I was there before he got the Cosby Show. I was there for A Different World. I've been there for all of it. Don't you try to go back and rewrite history now and give him credit for stuff he never did. You're trying to conflate that the fact that they were associated with him, that he did something more than just have them on that show. He did nothing beyond that. Nothing. And the quote exposure they got didn't help him. But you can try that if you want to. I'm ready. I'm ready. Give it your best shot. Because I'm going to keep going down the list on you. And you ain't going to like it. Raven Simone didn't get anything from Bill Cosby. Don't fall for that fake satire comedy story saying that she was filing charges for sexual harassment. People don't fall for that. But Raven Simone didn't get nothing from Bill Cosby. Raven Simone got everything she's got today from the Disney people. She's the only one of them who has something to talk about today, and it was Disney who gave that to her. And you know what that means? That means her own people, her parents, had to get her something else because Bill Cosby refused to do it. He had all those connections and knew all those people, but Bill Cosby did not build the Cosby Show for the improvement of black people. Bill Cosby is another egomaniac. And black society is unfortunately swollen to bursting with them, who built it for his own personal gain. So he could go on his own maniacal ego trip. Raven Simone got nothing from Bill Cosby. Now, you can talk about the, quote, Bill Cosby spinoff A Different World. That's right, I ain't gonna let you go. You thought you were gonna get off easy. No, you dumb jackass. I'm on ya. No, I'm on you. I'm on you. Go ahead. Let's run to A Different World. You want to try that one? Okay, stupid. We can try that one. Let's take a look at A Different World. First of all, oh hell, who do you know who's producing A Different World? Bill Cosby. Which means who gets paid for it? Oh yeah. Bill Cosby. So all he's done is set up a franchise of The Cosby Show. And that was all he was doing with A Different World, was setting up a franchise of The Cosby Show. There was only one person, just one person from A Different World who had any type of longevity. And that was Sinbad. But guess what? Sinbad built himself. Sinbad was a stand-up comedian before he got the gig on A Different World. Go look up Star Search, everybody. Oh yeah, I'm pulling out all the skeletons. See, you don't really know what the hell happened. You don't know what happened. Because most of you were not even born when this was happening. You all are defending a man you don't even know what occurred. Go look up Sinbad and Star Search. Sinbad became a household name standing next to Ed McMahon, not Bill Cosby. Oh, I burst ya little balloon. I busted ya little balloon. Oh, you don't get to sit here and lie anymore and give Bill Cosby credit for fraudulent things. You can't do that anymore. That's right. You see, other people will give Bill Cosby credit for things he never did. This is the place that actually tells you the history of what happened. Oh, I'm not supposed to be saying any of this, though, am I? I'm not supposed to be telling you any of this. I'm not supposed to actually remind you of the chronology and what really happened because black people love liars and frauds. Because black people are so scared of facing reality that we actually make up myths that we can believe in. And we'll rewrite our own lives because we are so failed that we've gotten to a point where our whole life has just become a great big facsimile. And Bill Cosby has been sitting there clapping because you have rewritten his life now and given him credit for things he never did. He's sitting there looking at what black folk are saying about him like, damn, I never did none of that, but I'll take credit for it. I'll take them good feelings you're giving me. I'll take that. I'll take that. Better a stupid friend than a smart enemy. We'll take that. We'll take that. Even if all you got is one enemy, it is better to have 1,000 stupid friends than one smart adversary. Kadeem Hardison, tell me what he did after A Different World. I'll wait. Lisa Bonet. Now, she was the poster child. Bill Cosby supposedly got upset because Lisa Bonet did a sex scene with Mickey Rourke in that movie Angel Heart. But you know what? I think it goes beyond that. You know what I think, Bill, based on your pathology, your pattern of behavior? Do you know why I think you did that, Bill? Do you know why I think you kicked her off that show? Bill, I think you kicked her off the show because you were thinning the herd. And you were worried that in your psychopathy, somebody else was going to get attention. That she was rising too quick, too fast. And that was your excuse. That was your in. I can get her now. I wanted to just start the show. But now this gives me the excuse I need to dump you overboard. Show me Bill Cosby's track record of building other black folk outside of the Cosby Show. I'll wait. I'll wait. I ain't gotta wait long because you're not going to be able to say anything. You can't name anybody that Bill Cosby built outside of his own project, The Cosby Show. You can't name anybody that he built outside of that because he didn't touch anybody outside The Cosby Show. If what you were doing was not Bill Cosby related, he would not help you. He would not join up with you. He would not cooperate with you. He wouldn't do anything with you. He would not collaborate with you. He wouldn't have a phone call with you. If you were not increasing his power, wealth, influence, and his outrageously, hideously, terrifyingly bloated ego, then he had no use for you. Jasmine Guy, tell me what she did outside of A Different World. I'll wait. Debbie Allen. Go on. Dawn Lewis, that big pretty brown thing. Tell me what she did outside of A Different World that she could thank Bill Cosby for. You can try to say that she got hanging with Mr. Cooper because of A Different World, but because of the time difference between them, I don't know if you can get away with that. You see, it's just like Malcolm and Eddie. You can't jump up 15 years later talking about, oh, this person got a sitcom because they used to be on The Cosby Show. After 5, 6, 7, 10 years, the show you were on previously has nothing to do with your ability to land a new one. That has nothing to do with it. But black people are very good for giving credit to folks who did nothing for us. Black folk give credit to Charlie Rangel. You can't name a damn thing that Charlie Rangel has done for Harlem. Harlem is the most run-down, decrepit part of New York City. You can't name a damn thing Charlie Rangel has done for Harlem. You can't name anything, and yet black folks sing his praises in Harlem. Same thing for John Conyers in Detroit. Same thing for Bill Jefferson in South Louisiana till the black folk got smart and kicked him on out. Same thing for Maxine Waters out there in California, Compton Watts. Black folk love giving people credit for things they never did. We adore doing that. We give folk credit all the time for stuff they never did for us. Because the reality is we want people to give us a pass for what we're not doing. So what we do is we lower the bar to the point that we have to resort to science fiction. But we'll do that. We'll do that because the reality is so pathetic that we don't actually even want to face it. We don't actually even want to face it. From the Cosby Show to A Different World to the Cosby Mysteries, remember that? You notice the one thing that keeps coming up? His name wasn't egomaniac, his name. But you can't name anybody that Bill Cosby collaborated with to build something where they would still be standing with or without him. He made sure that there was nothing that you had that would stand unless he was there. And without him, you're not going to get anything. Because this isn't for all of us. It's just for him. Sound familiar to somebody else? Like, Tyler Perry? Oh, there you go, TBA, slugging you in the gut again. There he goes. Name one person that Tyler Perry has built into a star other than Tyler Perry. All these movies. And the most famous person that Tyler Perry has had in any of his movies, we can name them. I think Cedric the Entertainer was in one. Janet Jackson was in another. Oh, wait a minute. These people were famous before they met him. So, Tyler Perry has never actually built anyone other than Tyler Perry. Same pathology as Bill the Shill Cosby. That's what these folk do. They get themselves over, but they refuse to help get you over. You are here to feed the machine and to assist them, but they don't ever hand you the keys. They don't ever help you to do any of that stuff. They don't assist you. You are there to build them. I remember from Vibe magazine when Dre had left Ruthless Records and he went to Death Row. And I remember in there that the interviewer, whoever it was, the interviewer had asked Dre. They asked him one question, and this should let you know that it was probably a white person because they asked a substantive question, a question that actually mattered. They asked Dre, what is the biggest difference between Eazy-E and Suge Knight? That's what they asked him. And Dre responded to the interviewer that the biggest difference between Eazy and Suge Knight, he said, was that Suge Knight took me with him. He took me places. He would take me to meetings with him. He would introduce me to people. Easy would never do that. Easy never took me to any meetings. Easy never took me with him when he went to go talk to people. That's what Dre said. You see, when it was time to actually conduct business, Eazy-E made sure that Dre, Cube, Ren, Yellow Boy, DOC, everybody else was locked out when it was time to do the actual business. When it was time to work, there Eazy is. When it's time to get you all to do things, there Eazy is. When it's time to discuss the inner workings of the machine, where there is the power, wealth, and influence, that's when Eazy locked everybody else out. Now that he's gotten over, he's going to make sure the rest of you don't. For those of you who don't know, EPMD, I know I'm bringing up old stuff, but with EPMD, that is one of the allegations that was made, was that Eric Sermon was not happy because Parrish Smith was handling the management, and Eric is watching Parrish get new houses, and Eric ain't getting nearly as much. So just in case some of you were wondering, that was always one of the long time stories about what led to the collapse of EPMD. One guy knows about the power, wealth, and influence and does everything he can to prevent everybody else from gaining it. It's one thing if you're getting it, maybe you don't have to tell everybody else everything else, but when you start doing deliberate things to lock other people out, now you have become a plantation overseer. Now you are the Satan, the Judas, the devil, the demon. Now you're the enemy. Tyler Perry has done, a dozen movies now, and he hasn't built anybody other than Tyler Perry. He hasn't collaborated with anybody. Everybody, tell me who Tyler Perry is collaborating with. Tell me. Tell me the other people that he is collaborating with the power, wealth, and influence. I will wait. I'll wait for you to tell me that one. Tell me where they are. Tell me where they are. Show me the other people that Tyler Perry is building a black coalition with. Because I can show you his black-white coalition, which is not actually a black-white coalition. It's just his black servitude to the white overseeing system coalition, if you want to call it that. But show me where Tyler Perry has built anybody other than Tyler Perry. I'll wait. And if that sounds like Bill Cosby, you're not too far off the mark. You're not too far off the mark. We can keep going if you want to. Puff Daddy, Jay-Z. We can show you a bunch of black folk that they associated with who worked under their umbrella. You can't show us anybody that they have collaborated with to build further power, wealth, and influence. Jay-Z married Beyonce. She had hers before she ever met him. Jay-Z didn't help her get anything. As a matter of fact, in some respects, she's probably bigger than he is. You can't show me anybody that Jay-Z built. You can show me some folk who made a little money helping Jay-Z. You can't show me anybody that he's built. You can't show me anybody that P. Diddy has built. Y'all can't keep pointing at Biggie. Biggie been dead for over a decade. You can't keep pointing to Biggie. He didn't live long enough for you all to see if he could have ever gotten anything on his own. You can't name Biggie. And beside that fact, with all of the tons of people that Sean Combs has dealt with, Shouldn't he have been able to collaborate and build somebody else other than himself by now? Biggie is the only person that you can name, but Biggie didn't even get nothing of his own. He's had plenty of opportunities to build other people. He's definitely dealt with plenty of acts. Why couldn't he do it? The closest individual that you can name is Brian Birdman Williams. That is the closest you can name, because he built Lil Wayne. Now that I will say, Brian Birdman Williams, you did do that. He did build Lil Wayne. He did build Lil Wayne. Somebody in the chat room just dropped a bombshell, which I was going to get to here in just a moment. Somebody in the chat room, Lex Lethal, dropped a bombshell, and I was going to get to that, but I'll come back to that in just a moment. I do have the single most intelligent audience in all of the internet, period, in the discussion, and the internet is the world. Brian Williams built Nicki Minaj. Brian Williams, I'll give him credit where credit is due. He has built other people who have the ability now to stand on their own. And who else, y'all? Other than that, who else? First of all, take a look at what he built, by the way. That's the first thing. First of all, take a look at what he built. He built Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, and Drake. Take a look at what he built. That's the first thing. That's a hell of a rack to hang your hat on, let me tell you. That's a hell of a thing to have to hang your hat on. I'm the guy who built Lil Wayne. Oh, really? I don't know if you can claim bragging rights to that, but I'll give it to him. You see, these people don't build anything. They don't build anybody else. And now the problem with that is that when you get into a position of power, you are supposed to be like the mafia. When you get into a position of power, you are supposed to build up other people around you. You're supposed to build up capos. You're supposed to build up sergeants. You're supposed to build up soldiers. You're supposed to build up associates. Wise guys. You see, the mafia didn't just have made men. And it wasn't just the capo at the top and that was it. The most unsuccessful capos, the most unsuccessful godfathers of the families, the guys who were most unsuccessful were the guys who only looked out for themselves. And every single major mafia don who ever went down, if you go back and research what took them down, it was always the same thing. His soldiers would always be the ones who would turn on him at some point. At some point, his soldiers would always turn on him, and they always gave the same reason. Because he wasn't looking out for anybody other than him. No, you don't think I can name them? I can name them. We can go back as far as you want to. I can name them. Magadesia, Maranzano, Johnny Torrio to a lesser degree. To a lesser degree. You notice that Al Capone did not fall victim to the same thing as his mentor, Johnny Torrio. Now, even though Torrio was not killed, he damn near was. But notice, he didn't fall victim to that. Lucky Luciano came into the game in the middle of the Castellamarese War. And before it was over, both of the two bosses that Luciano had been going back and forth between were dead. And Luciano was running things. One of them had even tried to kill him at some point, and the other one was going to. Between Maranzano and Mazzaria, Luciano realized they were looking out for nobody but themselves. And so he engineered and rigged up a game where they got both taken out. Why? Because they looked out for nobody but themselves. Albert Anastasia, one of the most ruthless, if not the most dangerous and murderous psychopath that has ever become a made man in the mafia. The guy who was the force behind Murder Inc. And the job of Murder Inc. was just that. Their job was to go around and kill people. That was what Murder Inc. did. And eventually Anastasia killed his way to the head of the family. And very shortly thereafter wound up getting himself killed at the barbershop. Now, let's take a look at somebody else who came in and succeeded Anastasia. Carlo Gambino. See, most of you don't know your history about this stuff, so just stop. You see, when you know history, you don't have to make up things that never happened. Because when I ask you who Cosby built, you can't name nothing. All you can say is, this person was on his show. Okay, but what did he build for them? They were on his show. What did he build for them? They got some for being on his show. What'd they get? Well, Malcolm Jamal Warner got another show that had nothing to do with Bill Cosby. Sure it did. No, it didn't. Carlo Gambino was able to say something that most mafia chieftains could not say. When Carlo Gambino was put to rest in his coffin, it wasn't because a knife had slit his throat or with a bullet in his head. Carlo Gambino died of natural causes. Because Carlo Gambino took care of the family, and the family took care of Carlo Gambino. People got shot, people went to jail, people got killed. Carlo Gambino was still standing and had the respect of the soldiers, of the captains, of the sergeants, of the neighborhood. He had the respect of the people. Because he had built them. He had built them. After Gambino died, next in line was Castellano. And that was a problem. Because you see, Gambino had handed it to Castellano. But this was a problem. It was a problem because Castellano wasn't liked. They didn't like Castellano. They liked Neil Delacroce. Look it up. The soldiers had respect for Neil Delacroce. In the words of Neil Delacroce's protege, I won't say his protege's name just yet, but in the words of Neil Delacroce's protege, Neil, real name Aniello, but Neil was a gangster's gangster. That was his words about his mentor. Neil was a gangster's gangster. That he played by the books. He played by the rules. He honored his soldiers. He didn't disrespect anybody. He didn't shortchange anybody. He didn't cheat anybody. And he didn't try to get anybody put into jail. to cover his own ass. And he had the respect of the men. So much so to the point that his protege went along with what Neil said. When Neil, to keep the family together, to keep war from breaking out, when Gambino chose Castellano over Delacroce, Neil told his underlings, don't fight it. They hated it, but they had such overwhelming respect for this man because they all came up and were made men. They became made men under him. And they were eating good and living good under Neil. So they went along with Castellano even though they didn't like him. They still went along because of the overwhelming respect they had for the man who built something for them. But fate wasn't going to protect Castellano forever. Before it was over, Neil was no longer in the picture. And when that happened, Neil Delacroce's understudy, his protege, said, Castellano, you're all mine now. And that was when John Gotti got together with Sam the Bull Gravano, and he told Sammy, we're gonna take out Castellano. I'm gonna become the boss. You're gonna become my underboss. And Sammy said, let's do it. They sent 4 gunmen, dressed up in some of those Russian outfits with the big Russian caps on their heads, so they would all be able to recognize each other. And the instructions were simple. When Castellano comes out of that steakhouse, you gun him down. And you make sure that bastard is dead. 'Cause if he ain't dead when you leave, you will be. If you don't make sure he dies, we will make sure you die. They gunned Castellano down. It was one of the most horrible, bloody things you've ever seen. Gunned him down, left him shot dead in the middle of the sidewalk. And John Gotti became the boss. Sammy Gravano became his underboss. And the rest is almost history. Because you see, John Gotti forgot the lessons and the characteristics that made his mentor, Neil Delacroce, such a respected man. He forgot about it. And before it was over, he started cheating the soldiers. And ultimately, at least Sammy believes it, that John Gotti was trying to set up a situation where Sammy would wind up taking the blame for all those hits that John had ordered. That they were going to put the blame off on Sammy. John was basically telling Sammy that I'm the boss, and as the boss, I'm ordering you to take the responsibility for these. You will go to jail for the rest of your life or the electric chair. I get off, but I'm the boss, and you're supposed to do what the boss says, including give up your own life. There was a reason why you had Hollywood actors like Mickey Rourke and Anthony Quinn showing up because they understood the code. And they weren't big on Sammy Gravano, by the way. The Hollywood guys who were associates, they weren't big on that at all. They were like, Sammy's a rat. Sammy's a snitch. He's flipped with the feds. Sammy's a snitch. But that was because John had lost the respect of his soldiers. You have to build up people around you so that when the dogs come after you, you have a phalanx of other people. You ain't just sitting out there by yourself. Bill Cosby spent 30 years going on his egomaniacal ego trip, and now there is nobody to protect him. He has no one that he's built up who can come to his aid now, who has power, wealth, and influence of their own that they can bring to bear to support him. He's got nobody. Do you know why you all couldn't move Dick Clark till the day he died? Do you know why you couldn't destroy Dick Clark's rockin' New Year's Eve and everything else he built up? Because he had a protege. He built up a young apprentice. And he built power, wealth, and influence for his apprentice. Like the Emperor with Darth Vader, or should I say with Yoda with Luke Skywalker, if that's less menacing for you. Dick Clark sat down with Ryan Seacrest, and he told Ryan, you are going to be my heir apparent, but you cannot maintain what I built because you don't know enough. So I'm going to teach you how to build something of your own so that you will be prepared to take this from me when I'm gone. Guys like Bill Cosby and Tyler Perry and all their ilk, they act like they're going to live forever. And that's why it's so easy for them to betray the rest of us, because they tell themselves, oh, I'm going to live forever. I'm going to live forever. I ain't got to build nothing for none of y'all because I'm not going nowhere. Rational people don't think like that. Dick Clark said, I'm going to build this thing and then I'm going to pass it off to you, Ryan. And I'm going to help you build power, wealth, and influence. And Ryan Seacrest has talked about that, by the way. Ryan Seacrest talked about that. How when he was talking to Top 40 and whatnot, he said that Dick Clark told me, don't sign any contract that does not include your ownership. Don't sign anything. And Dick Clark was the one who helped shepherd for Ryan Seacrest to take over on the radio stations and all these things. He cleared the way. He set the path. He talked to people. He made the contacts for Ryan Seacrest. All Ryan Seacrest had to do was answer the damn phone. Assuming that Dick wasn't there in the room dialing the numbers for him. Ryan Seacrest, all he had to do was answer the phone. Tell me where Bill Cosby has done that. For those of you jackasses and sycophantic brain-dead idiots who want to defend Bill Cosby, show me where he made the phone call for Malcolm Jamal Warner. Show me where he made the phone call and made the contacts and said, Malcolm, when the Cosby Show is over? Oh, no, I'm not supposed to say this to y'all. I'm not supposed to say this because it shows how big a fool a lot of you have been believing these delusions that you fed yourselves because you are cowardly looking at your own failures, which is why you want to protect Bill Cosby's reputation from his. Why didn't Bill Cosby say, Malcolm, I'm going to get this in place so that when my time on the Cosby Show is over, you will get to take over the Cosby Show in my place. I've already made the contacts at the television stations, at the network. I've already put that in place. I got one spinoff series done already. Malcolm, we're going to set it up so that you can have a spinoff series of your own. That you will take over for the next generation. Why didn't Bill Cosby do that? Take a look at TV shows like Law and Order, CSI. We can go down the damn list. They set up lines of succession. Black folk don't do that. You know why? Because the older generation sees the world through the eyes of white supremacy. They hate black people, and they most of all hate their own children. Because in war, you either subjugate people or you go for total annihilation. And they hate all of you, their children, so much that they sabotage you. because they see themselves as in competition with you for crumbs at the table of white supremacy. So they see all of you as their competitors for crumbs. So they sabotage you so that they will still get to keep the crumbs. If that was all they were going to do, why'd they even give birth to you? Oh yeah, because they don't like condoms. Forgot. They don't build anything. Black people have a habit of, when we get into a position of power and wealth, we don't build up other black people that we can collaborate with and build a coalition with other black people. We make it our job not to do that. When Dr. Dre got away from Ruthless Records, Suge Knight built a collaboration with him. But when Dre left Suge Knight, he didn't build any other collaborations with anybody else. As a matter of fact, the only person that Andre Young built was the white guy, Marshall Mathers. The only person that Dr. Andre Young has built is Eminem. That's the only one he built. Anybody who didn't have to bow down and kiss his ass, Snoop Dogg. Anybody who didn't have to bow down to Dre, he wasn't interested. And since he's been in Aftermath, you all tell me, he's been promising forever that he was going to produce other people, promising forever all these other folk. He ain't built nobody but the white kid. Why is that? Why is it that Andre Young has never built anybody else? Aftermath was completely his project. Death Row was not his. That was Suge Knight's. Aftermath was his project. Tell me, why is it that Andre Young, when he was at his smartest, with the most connections and the most money and most influence and most ability he's ever had, and yet he never built anybody else? Just the white kid. Why? Now, these are just facts now. These are just facts. I don't even have to embellish any of this. I'm just running down the facts for you now. Show me who else he built. He built himself, and he built up Eminem to help build up himself. You can't show me anybody he's built. You can't show me any black folk he's built. Let me rephrase that. You can't show me any black people he's built. When the dogs came for Michael Jackson, he was standing by himself. He built himself. He didn't build up anybody else or an army around him. And we live in a world where we as black people want to act like we're not at war. As black people, we are trying to delude ourselves, and we have successfully, into actually believing that we are not at war. So we keep marching out here into the world ass naked by ourselves, with no defenses and no allies, trying to convince the people that we are at war with to align with us. Black people are trying to convince the people that we are at war with to build a coalition with us. And then we wonder why nothing we're doing is working. We are looking to the very people who are destroying us and asking them to be our salvation. Why? Because black people have a culture where we've engendered the idea in ourselves that we are all competing for crumbs at the table of white supremacy. Not that we are trying to build black empowerment, but that we're trying to build something for ourselves in this system. Let me tell you all something. I have never, ever, in the half a decade that I've talked to you in the decade that I've been online and the 2 decades that I've been doing the work, I have never told you that our goal is to build a niche for ourselves under a white overstructure. I've never told you that. I have told you that we are supposed to be taking power, wealth, and influence, control of the landscape, not fighting for crumbs flicked off of somebody else's table. We are supposed to build our own table, get our own dishes, get our own forks, knives, spoons, ladles, get our own damn birds, pancakes, eggs, every damn thing else. We are supposed to be making our own. We're supposed to be making our own. Not looking for somebody else to flick something off at us. And what has happened is these people have refused to build a structure for themselves that helped anybody other than them. So they are marching out into a world at war, and they are defenseless and helpless because they're by themselves. And now, tell me, where are the media people to come out and defend him? To defend Tyler? To defend Michael Jackson? Do you all see a pathology here, by the way? Do you all see a similarity? Before Richard Pryor died, you see, they make sure that they destroy black people if they can before you die. They make sure that they try to destroy you. They try to annihilate us. As I said before, they try to either kill you physically. They assassinate black people, particularly black males. They try to assassinate you. If they can't assassinate you physically, they try to assassinate you figuratively. Physical or figurative. One way or another, you're gonna be dead. When Richard Pryor, when his health started failing him, all they wanted to talk about was his drug use. Red Fox, same thing. Not so much drug use, but they didn't have anything kind to say about this man. Michael Jackson, they talked about him and pedophilia till the day the man died. They were trying to destroy his reputation till the day he died. As soon as he died, you could no longer hurt him without hurting Sony. So next thing you know, as soon as Michael Jackson was dead, now the media has nothing but great things to say about Michael, because Michael Jackson now benefits the corporate structure. So now that he is dead and his power and wealth are going to be divided among those 2 white children, now we can talk about it. Now we can say something good about him. Now that his power and wealth will no longer benefit black people, now we can talk good about you. Want me to keep going? Because we can. Magic Johnson, as soon as he said he had AIDS, they were talking about womanizing and every damn thing else. As soon as it looked like he wasn't going to die, as soon as he started building up power and wealth for himself, then the media stopped talking bad about him. As soon as they saw they couldn't kill him, he wasn't going to die and they couldn't kill him, now they say good things about him. Michael Jordan, you do too much gambling. Look at his womanizing. His wife has divorced him. Take a look at it. Take a look at it. Now with Bill Cosby, same strategy. You see, when you are black, you have to build up a power structure around you. Do what your ancestors and your elders never did. Build up other black people so we can have a cohesive black society of black people who have power, wealth, and influence, so that we can all protect each other. Imagine if you and I were talking about getting into a boxing ring. I got two hands, you got one. Do you know how easy a fight that is to win when I'm going against somebody who's got one arm? You know how easy that'll be for me to win? You ain't even got a stump. I got two arms, you got one. You see, if you're going to go to war, you need somebody who is as equally armed and capable as you are. You don't need somebody by your side who's weaker than you. You need somebody by your side who is just as strong. You need somebody with you who is just as strong. Because when the enemy comes after you, he ain't coming by himself. And Bill Cosby, Michael Jackson and Eddie Murphy, Tyler Perry and the rest of their ilk, who the white corporate structure helps these individuals to get into their positions of influence because they know that these individuals hate black folk. And they know that these individuals are not actually going to do anything to benefit black people. So that's why they don't mind giving all this assistance to them, because just like Oprah Winfrey and the rest of them, they know what the real deal is. So you idiots who defend Bill Cosby, you're telling yourselves that Bill Cosby was some black-minded individual. Bill Cosby stopped that mess as soon as the corporate brass got a hold of him. And you can take a look at the women who are coming out accusing him. They all have the same ethnic characteristic. Now, somebody want to explain to me why that is? You see, in the NFL, it's black females who come out attacking these football players. With Bill Cosby, it's been different. With Michael Jackson, it was different. It was different, wasn't it? These people don't come after you by themselves. When the bad guys come after you for being black, they are going to come with an army. And you want to know where that army is? For those of you who are dumb enough to ask, turn on your TV. Take a look at the fact that they've gotten his reruns taken off. People are canceling the comedy shows. With Michael Jackson, they got his records pulled off the shelves. We're going to get rid of all that. We're going to get rid of all that. You ain't building up a damn thing. James Brown, when he got arrested, they tried to do the same thing to him. As soon as he died, all of a sudden James is good again. Well, actually, no, James was never actually good again even after that. They haven't had, the media just hasn't said a lot about James Brown. And you know why? Because James Brown had ownership of his music. James Brown had ownership of his music. So you see, Get On Up and all that belongs to the James Brown estate. That belongs to the James Brown estate. He might have to divide a little bit for publishing. But that music belongs to the James Brown estate. So when you come to talk to James Brown's people, well, depending on how that went, because it's kind of funky the way things went after he died. He had that wonderful Irish or Greek lady at the gate swearing up and down that that money was, the estate was supposed to belong to her. And apparently his will might have said that, so I'm not really even sure how that went down. But be that as it may, you see, he wasn't one of these Negroes in the 60s who was just singing for attention. You all sit up here and tell yourselves that they messed black folk over back then, and that is a lie. Black folk by and by actually messed themselves over because James Brown made sure that he owned his. Ray Charles is another one who made sure that he had ownership of a good portion of his music. Why is it that those black men from the 60s had ownership of their music and so many others didn't? Because those black men, there was a reason why James Brown supported Republicans. There's a reason for that. Oh, I'm telling all the stories today. There was a reason why James Brown supported Richard Nixon. Go look it up for yourselves. Don't believe me. If you think I'm lying, go look it up for yourselves. Go on. If you think I'm wrong about that, or if you think I'm just making that up, go look it up for yourself. Hell, they got pictures of him with Richard Nixon. James Brown was about building something. He wasn't trying to hang out with them other dudes over there who didn't get, all they wanted to do was have a little weed. Have some weed and chase some non-black women, man. They were done. The day was over for them. They were done. James said, damn that. I don't know how long this train is going to be rolling, but I'm not going to be broke when it stops rolling. I'm not going to be broke. I'm not going to be broke. We as black people have a habit of not passing things on. We as black people have a habit of sitting up here wanting to get ourselves over and damn everybody else. And it is despicable when it has degenerated to the point that now black parents are sabotaging their own children. There was a story today that I had posted up online here. It was a story that I had posted up earlier today. It was Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy with the Green Bay Packers. Eddie Lacy, he's a football player with the Green Bay Packers. And his parents were in Louisiana during Hurricane Katrina, and 9 years later, 9 years, he was a teenager with his parents, a teenager when Hurricane Katrina happened. His mom and his dad, just in case you all think that this was a single parent situation, no, it's not. His mother and his father. His mother and his father, both of them, both his mother and his father, have been living in a trailer for the last 9 years. Now, that's one thing when one of you is struggling, but it's 9 years later and his parents ain't did no better. So guess what he just did? He just bought a house for his mom and his dad. And I'm telling you all that that is the most despicable act of treason possible. His mammy and his daddy have been sitting around here waiting for him to get good so that he can take care of his parents. This is the treason and the betrayal of black people when it comes to their children and their heirs. Parents are supposed to be expecting that they should take care of their children. Black people are the only people in the world who are so infantilized, so hopelessly psychologically immature, that we actually, disgustingly enough, crank out children expecting that, not that we take care of the children, but that the children will come and take care of us. They are expecting their son to provide for them instead of them providing for themselves. Forget providing for their son. These two Negroes figured that their son, now he was in high school at the time probably, well, we'll see if he makes it through college and he take care of us. I'm just going to sit down and I will just live in this trailer. And if my son doesn't bring it to me, then it just ain't going to come. So I will guilt trip my son into building something for me. We'll guilt trip him into it. But we ain't gonna build nothing ourselves. We will guilt trip our son into providing for we the parents. Is there anything lower than a dog than somebody who looks at their own children and says, how can I exploit you? Like the plantation owners did. How can I exploit you? You all don't think that's a Satan? You still don't think that that is the devil? And many of you, you got the devil sitting in your family portraits. I said this on that post today, and I will say it again. If you were born and then you get all the way to the middle of your life or the end of your life, and you haven't done any better for yourself than you did at the beginning of your life, then you failed as a person. Now, I understand that things happen, and I understand that stuff occurs. I get that. That's not lost on me, and that's not what I'm referring to. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm saying that if you've been working your entire life, especially if you got two adults, two grown-ass people snoring in each other's faces every night, two adults who have spent their lives doing, we don't know. We know it wasn't building anything. They spent their lives just existing. And if you spend your life and get to the end of your life and your children have to take care of you because you ain't built nothing, you haven't developed nothing, and you never accomplished anything, if that is your life, that you can't get anything and you don't have anything, and you're depending on your children to patch up the holes that you have failed to fix in your life, you are not just a failure as a parent, you are a failure as a person. And the problem in black society is that we have so many failures that now we speak a language of failure. Black people now have a vocabulary that is rooted in failure. We have an entire vocabulary that is built upon and rooted in failing at everything we do. We talk about being in the worst housing. We talk about eating the most unhealthy foods. We talk about the worst, most dysfunctional relationships. We talk about living in the most impoverished of conditions. We talk about having the fattest women and the brokest men. We have adopted a vocabulary of failure. We talk about how we look terrible in the movies. We talk about how our music is terrible. We talk about how our clothing is this and that. We talk about the old cars we drive and the beat up houses we live in. And we use it as a source of pride. We talk about our tacky hairstyles, our messed up vocabularies, our wayward children and our criminal boyfriends, and messed up whorish girlfriends, and we talk about them with affinity. Because we have adopted a vocabulary built upon failure. That we've adopted failure as simply being... We have attempted to say that failure is synonymous with black. And I'm telling you all right now, don't come near me, because that is not black. That might be you, but that's not black. Brothers and sisters, we are helpless today. We are helpless as we watch as a killer who has gunned down a black child. And you can name any black child and any killer you want to. I'm not specifically talking about Darren Wilson right now. I'm not specifically talking about Darren Wilson. You see, you are supposed to be able to deal with problems like that on your own, and we are unable to do that. Because we don't own anything, we don't control anything, we're not passing anything down, because we have not made a priority of doing so. And now it has so deteriorated to the point that even the richest among us can only sit and wait until their number is called. Because we're trying to build a everything but black coalition. We want black, white, black, yellow, black, brown, black, green, black, purple. We want everything except a black and black coalition. And it's not gonna work. Not now, not ever. Ferguson, Missouri. Tyler Perry. Bill Cosby. And anybody else out there who might be listening, those of you who are in those circumstances, Chris Brown, who apparently has learned absolutely nothing from his experience in jail. Chris Brown, you learned nothing from that experience, obviously. But to whosoever is listening, I hope you all understand it. This is the cost of refusing to come together, to collaborate with each other, and to build each other into socioeconomic powerhouses. This is the cost of that. The cost of that is that you, even if you do make a little monetary success, which is all Bill Cosby was going for, he was not trying to build black empowerment. He was trying to build Cosby's success. Cosby income, damn black empowerment. For those of you, if you are listening, understand you are in this situation because you took it upon yourself to say, I'm just going to look out for me. You are in a world that is at war with you because you are black, and your income is not going to insulate you. You cannot gain an exemption based upon your income if you are still having to bow to white supremacy. That's not going to get you an exemption. Becoming a Grammy Award winner is not going to buy you an exemption. Being number one on the music charts or having the number one movie in America is not going to buy you an exemption. It is impossible for you as a black person to get an exemption. You can never be exempt from being a threat, because the problem is not that if you gain a certain income, then you will be seen as non-threatening. If you gain a certain level of success or popularity, you will become non-threatening. Your black skin and your black existence is what makes you a threat. And since you can never divorce yourself from your blackness, you can never get an exemption from your blackness. Bill Cosby and Tyler Perry and all the rest of their, Charles Barkley and the rest of their kind, are chasing an exemption card that can never actually be obtained. These people have become very entertaining to the dominant society that sees them groping around like blind old men in the dark for an exemption card that does not exist. They're entertaining, but they're not effective. And you are all now left to the mercy of a beast that has no mercy. Because you told yourself that at some point, if your income got big enough that you could graduate from being black, that you could graduate to a non-black status, which is what their dream always was. Tyler Perry dreams of being able to sit next to Martin Scorsese and Steven Spielberg and James Cameron. He dreams of being able to sit next to them because black people are disgusting to him, because he looks down upon blackness, and that's why he does nothing for or with black people. There are no collaborations to build other black people so he can say that we got something. He's got something, but he is not lifting a finger to try to say that we got something. And all the black people who say that they're out for themselves and it's all about me, I've got no use for you. Because it's not all about you. Because the day that they come for you, there will be nothing you can do. Because you're by yourself. Because you are not a success story, Bill Cosby, Tyler Perry, Halle Berry. You are not success stories. You are not a success. You are wards of the state. You can only be a success in the context of black empowerment. Anything other than that, and you are simply wards of the state. And the wards of the state are finding out now that the state can pull your card anytime they want to. So the real question is for the rest of you. Are you still chasing an exemption card? Are you still trying to find a way to get exempt from your blackness? Are you chasing an exemption that you simply cannot get? Are you trying to get black amnesty? Is that what you want? Is that what you still think you can have? Black amnesty? That's not going to happen. Not now. Not ever. You can keep chasing it. But trust me, folks, you might be telling yourselves, well, if I get my income up enough, if I can become an E7 or an E9 or an E12 or however high up the numbers go, if I can just become a officer, if I can just become a CEO, if I can just make it up that ladder high enough, if I can make myself valuable enough to the structure, I can become valuable enough that I'm non-threatening and that they need me. I can eventually become so powerful within their structure that they can't attack me because they need me. You see, I bet you that's what he told himself. As I leave you all here tonight, I bet you old Buck Dancing Bill told himself, they'll never come after me. They're never gonna come after me. I'm Bill Damn Cosby. I built NBC. NBC would have gone bankrupt without me. They can't attack. These corporations can't attack me. I'm Bill Cosby. You can't come after me. Even if they do grab you, they can't stop me. I got money. They can't take my income. If they do come after me, they'll be slitting their own throats. Not only do I have money, not only do I have connections, I'm already a part of the machine. He says I'm already a part of the machine. They can't stop me because if they try to sabotage me, I make money for them. My Cosby Show and my reruns and stuff, I make money. So these networks are not going to try to sabotage me because they'll be sabotaging themselves. And do you all see how quickly they pulled his stuff off? He thought that he could become so invaluable to the machine that eventually he would be able to become a power unto himself. I can become so powerful in the machine that the machine will become helpless to stop me. Because if the machine tries to harm me, it'll harm itself. And do you see how quickly they showed him that they can cut it off? Do you see how quickly they showed him that, buddy, we don't need you? Yeah, but I make money for you. Buddy, you make pennies for us. You make pennies. We can have your programming taken off today. Nobody will even know you were gone. We'll have you replaced before you can even say, what the hell happened to me? We'll have you replaced before you can even say, what the hell happened to me? And I want to ask you all one more thing here. When they do pull his mess off of all these TV stations that it's on and stuff, tell me, are they those time slots where he's playing on all these retro networks? Do you think they're going to replace it with another black program? Do you think they'll be replacing him with another one? Brothers and sisters, you are helpless in Ferguson because you haven't built a black and black coalition. You are helpless in New Orleans because you haven't built a black and black coalition. You are helpless around the world because you have not built a black and black coalition. And you are chasing an amnesty card and an exemption pass that simply does not exist. You better all start collaborating with each other. Because the bad guys, they are collaborating against you. And the quickest way to find a coward in black society today, just ask him, do you believe we can create a black fill-in-the-blank coalition? And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the BlackChannel.net radio. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, brothers and sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is here.